Taoiseach, the revelations in last Sunday's Sunday Independent in relation to a transcript of a conversation between Deputy Michael Lowry and Mr Kevin Phelan are quite dramatic and startling in the content of that transcript. Now, Deputy Lowry has made his statement, and I don't propose to deal with that issue today. What concerns me most, Taoiseach, as one of many members in this House who set up the Moriarty Tribunal, is whether or not it was continually undermined in its efforts to get the full truth of the issues it was investigating. And at this point, Taoiseach, I want to refer to documentation that Senator David Wilson received from Mr Phelan, detailing about 16 meetings attended by Deputy Michael Lowry in relation to the so-called Doncaster deal. Now, Senator Wilson has forwarded that material to the chairman of the tribunal. Senator Wilson understands that there are other issues out there in relation to this, and that will be coming down the tracks, and he's undertaking that any material he receives will go directly to the chairman of the tribunal. Now, taking this material together, the material that Senator Wilson received, along with the transcript of the conversation, one is left with a very, very uneasy feeling that the tribunal was not told the full truth, or that groups of people, witnesses, were meeting, were telephoning, were engaging with each other before giving evidence to the tribunal. Now, that I would suggest, Taoiseach, at a minimum, is both unhealthy and indeed somewhat disturbing. Clear contradictions are emerging between what was said to the tribunal and what is now emerging in the various materials that I've referred to. And those are contradictions that are very difficult to reconcile. Now, the tribunal was established by the Oireachtas. It is a creature of the Oireachtas. And I think all of us have a solemn duty and obligation to stand by it and its chairperson, and to ensure that it was enabled to go about its work unhindered and unobstructed, receiving truthful evidence and the fullest of cooperation from all concerned. What I want to ask you, Taoiseach, is this, that on behalf of this House, will you facilitate a re-examination of these issues by the tribunal? And it's your gift to do that.
Taoiseach. Would you repeat that question, please, Deputy?
Will you facilitate a re-examination of these issues by the Tribunal of Inquiry, either by way of a motion to the House or whatever? It's not a laughing matter, Minister Rabbitte.
Well, you should know well about obfuscation before the tribunal.
It's not.
Hold
on a minute here. This is leaders' questions.
What are you so worried about, Minister Rabbitte? What are you so hot up about?
If the Taoiseach wishes to reply, it's not up. Would you please resume your seat? I'm asked the Taoiseach to reply, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
It's clear that when a tribunal is set up by the Houses of the Oireachtas has no further function in the matter. And Moriarty has already reported. I suppose the allegations that you make there, or the comments that you make, could have been applied to a number of other personalities in other tribunals also. But like the Moriarty Tribunal made recommendations at breaking the link between big money and politics, and that was achieved through the enactment of the Electoral Amendment Political Funding Bill on the 28th of July last year, which effectively banned corporate donations. The government also supported a motion of censure against Deputy Lowry in 2011. The government is currently working in County Corla on the preparation of comprehensive legislation dealing with whistleblowers, an issue raised by Minister Rabbitte many years ago, and on the registration of lobbyists. And the government is also well advanced in that work. Fundamentally, what Moriarty said was, I am making these recommendations to break the links between politics and big business. And the programme for government made clear the views of both parties in government. And as I said, that was enacted last year. The provisions of it, as Deputy Martin is aware, were a ban on the acceptance of donations over €200 for political purposes from a corporate donor unless the donor had registered with the Standards in Public Offices Commission, and the establishment of a register of corporate donors, a reduction in the maximum amount that can be accepted as a donation by a political party from 6,300 to 2,500. Reduction in the maximum amount that can be accepted as a donation by an individual elected representative or election candidate from 2,500 to 1,000, and so on. The transcript that was handed in, I agree with you. If any further information that's of relevance comes to light, well, then that should be forwarded to the appropriate authorities as well. But whether there's validity or veracity in all of what was contained in the transcript, it's not for me to judge. This House set up the Moriarty Tribunal to deal with a number of specific issues. And as you're aware, once the tribunal is set up, the House has no further function in determining the outcome of the tribunal, which in this case was reported by Moriarty 2 years ago.
No one has denied the veracity of the transcript. Nobody. So it seems to me the transcript stands as a bona fide conversation between Mr. Lowry and Mr. Kevin Phelan. I've already referred to the documentation that Senator Diarmuid Wilson received, which details over 60 meetings that occurred between Deputy Lowry and Mr. Phelan in relation to the Doncaster deal, and others, sorry, in relation to the Doncaster deal. Now, it's not for us to judge that particular documentation, but suffice to say, Taoiseach, that there's enough new material there for this House to revisit the issue. The tribunal was established by way of motion to the House from the then government. It was subject to amendments from across the House. You know what I'm saying when I ask you, would you facilitate a re-examination of this by Moriarty? Will you bring a motion to the House on this specific issue? Because does it not concern you, Taoiseach? And it does concern me. And you made comments about others, and they may be valid. But what's before us now, Taoiseach, what's before us now is material that has emerged into the public domain, which at the very minimum casts doubt about the level of cooperation that was afforded to the tribunal. That casts doubt over the truthfulness of the evidence that was provided to the tribunal.
Thank you, Deputy.
And it is material that the chairman did not see prior to he coming to his conclusions and to his findings. Now, does that not concern you? That a tribunal established by the Oireachtas may have been fatally undermined, may have been hindered, that people were having discussions in advance, that people knew who was giving evidence, who wasn't giving evidence, who wouldn't be turning up, who would be turning up, what they would be saying. I mean, these are very fundamental issues that go to the heart of what we should be about in this chamber and in this Oireachtas. And it is, you have a huge majority here. I have no doubt you will have the full cooperation of the House.
Please,
and the very basic question is, will you bring a motion to the House to invite the chairman of the tribunal to examine the new material that has come into the public domain and to re-examine this particular issue?
Thank you.
Well, I have no intention of reopening the Moriarty Tribunal or any other tribunal that has reported to the House. And I'm not sure whether I didn't realise that you seem to be amnesiac in some respects here, because there were other claims made at other tribunals about the extent of information and knowledge or veracity of what was given to the tribunals. Obviously, when somebody goes in before a tribunal, they take an oath to tell the truth. Now, if there is information out there that somebody has access to, well then I would suggest that they bring that information to the appropriate authorities, Deputy Martin. And remember now that you are talking about the same Deputy Lowry that kept your government in office with a secret deal that week after week, when questions are asked about it, to publish... Hold on a second now. Hold on a second. That your own government signed a secret deal with the said Deputy Lowry and a number of others, and you would not publish any of the details of that, either in the interest of transparency or accountability as to the use of taxpayers' money for various issues that were being dealt with. So that's the same person you're speaking about. Now, as I say, Deputy Martin, I have no intention of reopening the Moriarty Tribunal. This went on for long enough, and the chairman dealt with the report and reported to the House here. And not only did the House passed a motion of censure against Deputy Lowry, but it also enacted many of the recommendations of the Moriarty Tribunal and is preparing legislation dealing with the registration of lobbyists and the question of whistleblowers. So if Deputy Martin or anybody else over there, you too, Deputy Kelleher, if you've got information over there, then deal with it with the appropriate authorities, and I'd expect that you would do that.
Thank you.